I just want to follow up on Steve's story really quickly. Speaking of sad spelling. Ironically, my dad was a huge fan of crossword puzzles. So every day the man spent, an hour on the crossword puzzle, and then he couldn't figure out quite why it wasn't coming together. And so we used to have a routine when I was in high school. He'd get up in the morning and, work on the crossword puzzle. And, he's not a dumb guy. He's not a dumb guy. I don't want that to come across that way. He just cannot spell. And he filled out stuff, and he knew all kinds of stuff that me definitely, when I was a teenager, didn't know. And fill it out, and then I'd go back through, and I'd fill out the things that I knew, and then I'd correct the spelling on all the ones that he filled out, and I'd leave it because he was driving the truck, so he'd be up at 5 in the morning, and so that he'd be long gone. So I'd find his half-done crossword puzzle, and then I'd leave it, and I'd go off to school, and I'd come home, and then in the evening we'd finish them together. And, we were doing the New York Times, so usually we'd get Monday through Wednesday, but towards the end of the week it started getting a little hairy. But that was Dad's, strangely, one of his lifelong things. He was always a crossword puzzle guy. Another thing that, the story that I remember that was really an eye-opener for me about my dad's nature was one year Mom signed us up as a family to volunteer at Special Olympics. And, you can imagine Dad was not super enthused about that. Just because, he's just not a big volunteer kind of guy. And, but, we couldn't really get out of it, so we all went there, and we all, our job at Special Olympics was to be huggers. And great job. I mean, if you've got to volunteer, you volunteer as a hugger. And your job is during the track and field portion of the events, you're assigned a lane, lane 6 or whatever, and for every race then you stand at the finish line, and when the athlete comes through, you're like, yeah! You give him a big hug. And my dad, you can imagine, man, the guy was the best hugger. I mean, he was so amazing at it. He just brought tears to my eyes and made my heart just expand with joy to see him. He was so great. He would just, lean forward. I mean, gosh, if I was an athlete, I would have wanted to be in Dad's lane. His face just lit up, and his grin was huge, and his arms were huge. He was just like, yeah! And, it didn't matter what place you were coming in, it was just whatever came in, you celebrated, and Dad he was just so excited, and he just hugging, these kids would come through, and he'd just wrap his arms and pick them up, and they were just like, yes, and he just was like, born for it, it was amazing. I just had never really seen that side of my dad, and that was a really, really cool thing to see. So, alright, that's it for me.
What he wanted, and he would just totally go for it. He would support you on what you thought you needed to do. I moved out of the house at 17 and moved in with my sister and brother-in-law, and my other sister and I both moved in with him, and he helped me grow up, probably not in the best way sometimes. How to do shots, learn how to do some other stuff, and he was just always right there encouraging. He is a great hugger. I grew up with Lindsay and Brooke. I was still growing up and they were little, and he gave me the nickname Maggie, and he called me Maggie